Let us seek out some shady place where we can both sit down and pray our hearts out.
Instead of crying, let's keep hold of our swords and defend our fallen homeland like honorable men. Each day, new widows howl, new orphans cry, and new sorrows slap heaven in the face until it sounds like heaven feels Scotland's anguish and screams in pain.
I will avenge whatever I believe is wrong, and I'll believe whatever I'm sure is true, and I'll put right what I can when the time comes. What you just said may perhaps be true. This tyrant, whose mere name is so awful it hurts us to say it, was once considered an honest man. You were one of his favourites. He hasn't done anything to harm you yet. I'm inexperienced, but perhaps you're planning to win Macbeth's favour by betraying me to him. It would be smart to offer someone poor and innocent like me as a sacrificial lamb to satisfy an angry god like Macbeth.
I am not treacherous.
But Macbeth is. Even someone with a good and virtuous nature would give way to a royal command. But I beg your pardon, my fears can't actually make you evil. Angels are still bright, even though Lucifer, the brightest angel, fell from heaven. Everything evil wants to look good, but good still has to look good too.
I've lost my hope in convincing you to fight against Macbeth.
Maybe you lost your hopes about me when I found my doubts about you. Why did you leave your wife and children behind? Why could you leave them vulnerable? The most precious things in your life. Those strong bonds of love. How could you leave them behind? But I beg you, don't interpret my suspicions as slander against you. You have to understand that I need to protect myself. I may really be honest, no matter what I think.
Bleed, bleed, poor country. Great tyrant, go ahead and build yourself up because people are too afraid to stand up to you. Enjoy everything you stole because your title is safe. Farewell, Lord. I want to be the villain you think I am, even if I were offered all of Macbeth's kingdom and the riches of the East too.
Don't be offended. I don't completely distrust you. But I do think that Scotland is sinking under Macbeth's oppression. Our country weeps, it bleeds, and each day a fresh cut is added to her wounds. However, I also think there will be many people willing to fight for me. The English have promised me thousands of troops. But even so, when I have Macbeth's head under my foot, or stuck on the end of my sword, then my poor country will be plagued by worse evil than ever before. It will suffer worse, and in more ways than under the reign of the king who follows Macbeth.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about myself. I know I have so many vices that when the public sees them all exposed, even Macbeth will seem as pure as snow in comparison. And our people will call him a sweet lamb when they compare him to me and my infinite evils.
Even in hell we couldn't find a devil worse than Macbeth.
I admit that he's murderous, lecherous, greedy, lying, deceitful, violent, malicious, and guilty of every sin that has a name. But there is no end, absolutely none, to my sexual desires. Your wives, your daughters, your old women and young maids combined could not satisfy my lust. My desire would overpower all the strength in anybody who stood in my way. It would be better for Macbeth to rule than someone like me.
Endless greed and lust in a man's nature is a kind of tyranny. It has been the downfall of many kings. But don't be afraid to take the crown that belongs to you. You can find a way to satisfy your desires in secret while still appearing virtuous. You can deceive everyone. There are more than enough willing women around. Your lust can't possibly be so strong that you use up all the willing women to give themselves to the king once they find out he wants them.
Along with being full of lust, I'm also incredibly greedy. If I became king, I should cut off the nobles for their lands, desire this one's jewels in another's house. The more I had, the greedier I would grow, until I'd invent false quarrels with my good and loyal subjects, destroying them so I could get my hands on their wealth.
The greed you're talking about is worse than lust because you can't outgrow it. Greed has been the downfall of many kings. But don't be afraid. Scotland has enough treasures to satisfy you out of your royal coffers. These bad qualities are bearable when balanced out with your good sides.
But I don't have any good sides. I don't have a trace of the qualities the king needs, such as generosity, nobility, courage, bravery, stability, honesty. Instead, I overflow with every variation of all the possible vices. No. If I had power, I would take world peace and throw it down to hell.
Oh, Scotland! Scotland!
If someone like me is fit to be king, then let me know. I really am exactly as I describe myself to you.
Fit to be king? You're not fit to live! Oh, miserable nation, ruled by a usurping, murderous tyrant. When will you see peaceful days again? The man who has a legal right to the throne is by his own admission a cursed man and a disgrace to the royal family. Your royal father Duncan was a virtuous king, and your mother spent more time on her knees in prayer than she did standing up. She lived a life of absolute piety. Goodbye. The evils you have described inside of yourself have driven me out of Scotland forever. Oh, my heart, your hope is dead.
Macduff, this passionate outburst, which proves your integrity, has removed my doubts about you. It made me realize that you really are trustworthy and honorable. That devil Macbeth has tried many times to trick me and lure me into his power, but prudence prevents me from believing people too quickly. But with God as my witness, I will let myself be guided by you. I take back my confession. I take back all the awful things I said about myself, because none of these things are actually a part of my character. I'm still unbeknownst to women. I've never told a lie. I barely care about what I already own, let alone another people's possessions. I've never broken a promise. I wouldn't betray the devil himself. These lies are actually the first false words I've ever spoken. The person who I really am is ready to serve you and our poor country. Indeed, before you arrived here, gracious King Edward sent us noble Stuart and 10,000 soldiers already prepared for battle. Now, we will fight Macbeth together, and may the chances of our success be as great as the justice of our cause. Why are you silent?
It's hard to make sense of such different stories.
Well, we'll speak more soon. Is King Edward coming out?
Yes, sir. A crowd of sick people is waiting for him. Their illness confounds the most advanced techniques of modern medicine, but when they touch him, they heal immediately because of the power granted to him by heaven.
Thank you, Doctor.
What disease is he talking about?
It's called the evil. Edward's healing touch is a miracle I have seen him perform many times during my stay in England. How he receives these gifts from heaven, only he can say. But he cures people with the strangest conditions, all swollen and plagued by ulcers, patients beyond the help of surgery, by placing a gold coin around their necks and saying holy prayers over them. They say that he bequeaths his ability to heal under his royal descendants. Along with his strange power, he also has the gift of prophecy and various other abilities. All of these signs mark him as a man graced by God.
Who's that come on over here?
By his dress, I can tell he's my countryman, but I don't recognize him.
Oh, my noble kinsman. Welcome.
I recognize him now. May God alter the circumstances that keep us apart.
Hello, sir.
Is Scotland the same as when I left it?
Alas, our poor country. It's too frightening to look at it itself. Scotland is no longer the place where we were born. It's the land where we'll die. Where no one smiles except for the fool who knows nothing. Where sighs, groans, and shrieks ring through the air, and no one ever notices. When people die, people no longer ask why the funeral bells are ringing. Good men die before the flowers and the caps wilt. They die before they even fall sick.
The report is too poetic, but it sounds so true.
What is the most recent news?
Even news an hour old is old news. Every minute another horrible thing happens.
How's my wife?
She's well.
And my children?
They're well too.
And Macbeth hasn't attacked her.
They were at peace when I left them.
Don't be stingy with your words, man. What's the news?
When I was coming here to tell you my news, I heard many rumors that many good men were preparing to rebel against Macbeth. When I saw Macbeth's army on the move, I knew those rumors must be true. Now is the time we need you in Scotland. Your presence would inspire people to fight. Even women would fight to rid themselves of Macbeth's oppression.
Do let them be comforted. I'm returning to Scotland. King Engward has sent us noble Stuart and 10,000 troops. There is no soldier more successful or experienced than Stuart in the entire Christian world.
I wish I could repay this happy news with good news of my own. I have some news that should be held out in a barren desert, but no one can hear it.
What is this news about? Does it affect all of us or just one of us?
No decent man can keep from sharing its sorrow. But my news affects you alone.
Is it for me? Let me have it.
I hope you won't hate me for that after I say these things. For I'm about to fill your ears with the most dreadful news they have ever heard.
I think I can guess what you're about to say.
Your castle was attacked. Your wife and children were savagely slaughtered. If I told you how they were killed, it would cause you so much pain it would kill you too, and add your body to the pile of murdered corpses.
Merciful heaven! Come on, man. Don't keep your grief hidden. Put your sorrow into words. The grief you keep inside your heart will whisper in it until it breaks.
They killed my children?
They killed your wife, your children, your servants, anyone they could find.
And I had to be away! And they killed my wife too?
I said she was.
Take comfort. Let's cure this awful grief by taking revenge on Macbeth.
He doesn't have children! But all my pretty little children! All of them! On that bird in hell! All of them! What? All my children and their mother dead in one fell swoop?
Fight it like a man.
I will, but I also need to feel it like a man. I can't help but remember the things that are most precious to me. Did heaven watch us slaughter and not send down any help? Simple God. They died because of you. As wicked as I am, they died because of me, not because of anything they did. May heaven give their souls rest.
Let this anger sharpen your sword. Turn your grief into action. Don't block the feelings inside your heart. Let them lose its rage.
I could go on, weeping like a woman, and bragging about how I will avenge them. But gentle heavens, don't keep me waiting. Bring me face to face with Macbeth, that devil of Scotland. Put him within reach of my sword, and if he escapes, may heaven forgive him as well.
Now you sound like a man. Come on, let's go see King Edward. The army is ready. All we have to do now is say goodbye to the king. Macbeth is ripe for the picking. We'll be acting as God's agents now. Come on, cheer up as much as you can. A new day will come at last.